And good day. Thank you for joining us. I am Tamara Scott. This is Tamara Scott Live, bringing you Truth for Our Time. Truth for Our Time. And we talk about a whole array of topics. If God expects you to live through it, He's directed you how to do it. And so we always appreciate you joining us on this show. We took liberty to pre-tape this show. I am actually with the RNC meetings right now in my other hat as National Committee Woman for the Republican Party and for the state of Iowa. I have joining me today 3 wonderful guests, and you will get to hear from all of them. We're taping when it's freezing cold, 24 below in Iowa, 24 below wind chill factor. So thankful for cars that run, tires that don't go flat, mittens, gloves, the whole kit and caboodle to stay warm. And just imagine, not very long ago, my grandmother had to get in the sleigh, and they had to put the cowhide over the top of them to stay warm. I don't know how you stay warm in 24 below. Hopefully they just didn't go anywhere. Joining me, my first guest, is Al Perez. Al, are you on the line with me?
On a cold Iowa day, and I've already been outside.
You were out early this morning when it probably was really, really cold.
Yeah, it's freezing. I had to take my daughter this morning to a doctor's appointment, and I tell you, I don't know if I've experienced this kind of cold in a long time.
We women like it because it justifies fur coats.
Fur coats, right?
It also justifies Under Armour. Thank heavens for a lot of those wonderful new technologies that are thin layers but very warm. And I also think, Al, and you and I both have friends on the police force. Oh, Lord, please keep them safe and warm.
Yes. Yeah. I was just saying to my wife a few minutes ago, I don't know how mailmen do it, especially on a day like today. You know, grace to them walking. Because I used to do a route where I did meter reading back in those days where you walked and you had to read meters, and I would walk 8 miles a day, much like a mailman's route, and I'd be so exhausted at the end of the day, just fall in a chair because of the cold, especially when you want the cold. So absolutely, yes, keep warm and safe.
So, Al, thank you for joining me today. We're going to be talking about an event that's happening here in Des Moines, Martin Luther King Day. We all know what Martin Luther King Day is. It's a holiday. But, Al, I wonder if we took a camera on the street and we said to everyone walking by, do you know who Martin Luther King was? Do you think they would know?
This generation, I think, can identify with whom he is. And I think in that respect, as far as his name and what he has done, and then, of course, in our public school systems, honoring that day. So I think there may be some semblance of understanding of who he is and his legacy. I think, there is probably so much more to his life that, many of this generation may not know. But we still see a lot of that legacy in the millennial generation. I think, even though I believe that we have a lot of work to do today in today's culture, as you can see in light of what we've seen happen nationally since Ferguson. But I think there's a generation of millennials that have been the byproduct of some of that legacy, how many of them view their world in terms of race and they're just how they're wired for their generation.
Okay. Well, I hope that you're right. I hope that this generation does know who Martin Luther King is. Dr. Alveda King, his niece, daughter of Reverend A.D. King and Naomi Barber King, also was active in the civil rights movement. She participated in some of the marches. She was actually even thrown in jail during the open housing movement. And so she is what I would say a living history. She's living history right before us, right before our eyes. She's coming to Des Moines, Martin Luther King Day, January 19th. Now, Al, you and I both are of the same mind, like heart here, and I appreciate this. We are not wanting anything stirred up. We have been blessed to have a peaceful community, and we're bringing her in, reaching across boundaries where barriers might before have been able to grow. We're trying to bridge before we ever have such an incident, because we want to have relationships across lines and see each other's value, no matter what our differences are. We all have value, and we want to see that value and find like issues where we can agree to work together on things. And I will note as well, Dr. Alveda King, I consider a friend of mine. We set this up last June over a conversation over dinner. I invited her on another date. She couldn't come, and she said, her people said, what if we come on Martin Luther King Day? I would have never have been so brave to ask, and I'm so delighted she's coming to celebrate the legacy of her uncle, the work that was done, and to move forward peaceably in nonviolence. You are joining in that movement, and we're so thankful to have your group tell us a little bit about transformations.
Sure. And just to back up just for a quick moment, and I think you laid the groundwork in saying that, Tamara, is that I don't think necessarily this generation understands the price paid in the legacy that they've inherited. I think they have an understanding, but I think they're far removed from a time frame where it is just literally mind-blowing to think what many, including Dr. King himself, have actually walked through as a pioneer. And I think that is one of the things that I'm looking forward to for her, is to impart to a generation here. That is just a God thing, I think, in terms of her even coming on this day, because I believe there is something to be imparted by her story and her legacy, and for many to hear. I think once again I would like to say again, probably to maybe either reconcile that generation with here, just to be reminded of the price paid in terms of having what this generation takes so much for granted. Even though they have an understanding and know a little bit about Martin Luther King as a civil rights activist, but I think many don't even often understand a lot of his life, as I said, and what he's walked in the price paid. And so I really am looking forward to just seeing how this generation once again can be infused with that message. And hence, here's the reason why the Transformations group comes into play. It's a very organic group that I believe already that has really caught that vision, particularly in Christendom, where we've come together, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, pastors and Christian leaders, to come together on a common ground whereby we could influence our community, whether it's through the police department, the school districts, community development, where there is a kingdom-minded voice of righteousness at the table, where those that are influencing our culture, we have a presence there that is as a gatekeeper, I believe, to make sure, as the scriptures say, when the righteous flourish, the city rejoices. And I think it's once again to go back and possess the gates again to our communities where we've allowed so much to get in to our community, as you know, Tamara, here. And then it becomes a battle once that evil is entrenched in our communities, however it manifests itself in the urban context, whether it's poverty, black-on-black crime, violence, drugs, corruption on any front, that God is raising up men and women to be salt and light in our community. And that's what the Transformations group is all about. It's transgenerational, multicultural. It is, it's also, we work with many different denominations, Christian denominations, but we really speak the same language. And so that's our heart as a group, to come together and be one in terms of being a reflection of what I believe the body of Christ should be to our city.
We are so pleased that she is coming. And everything we thought we had in our heads that we would plan to do just seemed to fall through. We met with hardship. It just didn't, there were obstacles. And then this opened up. You came into our picture, and you saw our vision. We wanted to get her to the group of people who needed to hear from her, not just a group of people who could afford to come to a pricey dinner. We wanted to get her into the public. We want to get her into the schools. We wanted to get her into groups where we could talk at a panel discussion. We can have real roundtable discussions on what's taking place, what are the needs, what are the solutions. And so we ran into you, Al, and what a blessing that has been. She's going to be at North High School, 6 p.m. Monday on Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, our thanks to you, Tamara, for being the catalyst in this. This would not be possible had you not said yes, had you guys not had a divine appointment together and to see this a reality. And that's the power of this event. We just believe we're under divine providence with a mandate here to see something shift in our community, that we would not be a community much like what we're seeing in the papers, whether it be New York City or Ferguson or some of the major kinds of protests that we're seeing across our nation, that God would be so graceful to us here in terms of really setting up this whole scenario of having her come. And the distinction about her coming here that I so appreciate, we have celebrations all across our community in terms of Martin Luther King, which I so appreciate. I appreciate those celebrations concerning his legacy. But what makes this one stand out is that she is willing to go and connect with our city leaders, and she's willing to connect with community. And that separates this event, I believe, from others in terms of her being a voice into those direct leaders that we are already, as I mentioned earlier, trying to impact and influence. And she is just bringing that power boost to that message that we are trying to do in the urban core of our community. And so I just love the synergy of relationships and partnerships that are bringing this all together. And again, as you know, I've shared this publicly. Thank you so much for being the catalyst and opening this door. This would not be possible had it not been for your yes in this whole situation.
Well, I appreciate that, and I do appreciate your words there. But you know what it is, Al? You know exactly what it is. It's being obedient, and when something is impressed upon your heart, following through with what that is. And of course, you first have to make sure that what you're listening to is sound, right, that you're not... the Bible tells us just to test everything with the Word. Otherwise, we get caught off on our own best interest, and we can lead ourselves astray, thinking we're doing good when we're not. But this is something that I'm so glad to see the pastors, yourself, transformation coming along with this. And I'm hopeful, as we've talked about, this will be a series. I don't think this will be her only visit. She's coming again in March. I think she may be coming again in June. And I just think this is going to be a series. And, you know, Iowa was one of the first in the nation as far as civil rights and education of that time. I think the term was colored. I think it may even be in the legal documents. But for all students in education, we were, I think, before the tide, even on the Dred Scott case. So I think it's fitting that we lead the path as well. We're first in the nation with the caucus. I think it's fitting that we lead the nation, Al, in a healing restoration for our communities.
That's so powerful, Tamara. It's interesting you talked about obedience. A man once said, influence is a result of our love, our humility, and our obedience to God. Not a goal to be achieved. It's the fruit of our obedience. And we are seeing the fruit of obedience happen in how this is all being played out. As you and I know, there's much that goes on behind the scenes to make this happen. And we talked a little bit earlier. And there are some of us that, as we have talked before, there is the private spiritual warfare that goes behind the scenes, the opposition that oftentimes tries to hinder something of this magnitude in our community. And so I realize that, again, there are men and women who are buffering a lot of this for this generation, and God is going to reward greatly. You talked about having her come back. As a result, for your listeners also, as we discussed, this has opened up a door in our community. In our community, we've had a Black Ministers Alliance that has been pretty much existent for 40 years. As of 2012 of December, they changed that name after 40 years to the Ministers Alliance because they wanted to begin to bring an inclusiveness into that group, of which that group formed out of segregation back in the 60s when white pastors would not meet with Black pastors to pray or even to do things in community. And so they reached out to me right when this was beginning to unfold, as I shared with you, which is historic. And so they are even willing to have a meeting with both their group and our alliance in February as a result of this. So I am really, really encouraged.
So if people are listening and you do believe in prayer, we're going to ask you to continue to bring this up in prayer for safety, for protection for everyone, but moving forward for relationships to start. Because how can we work together if we don't even know each other, if we don't see the value in the other person? And as we've said before on this show, I don't care how different you are, how different your views may be, we all have commonalities, and I think for the most part want what is best for our children, a safe community for our children, the opportunity for them to grow as we would like them to grow, but to be educated as we see fit as parents, and then for them to have options economically as they see fit. That's what I think most of us want, with a few exceptions of people who just seem bent on violence and pushing their way about. Al, let's go through the event one more time.
Sure. Monday night, Alvita will be with us at North High School in Des Moines, Iowa, and we have, which I just found out, Tamara, before I came on air, there is great potential that our governor will be at one of the two events, or will be available at one of the three events, actually, because you're also doing a breakfast as well. And so that was looking very, very positive that he's going to attend one of the three, which is very significant. We are also, as you know, you have the breakfast out at the Holiday Inn Airport, and then we also, the next day, her itinerary would include visiting some of our local schools. Hyatt Middle School has already been confirmed in Des Moines, and then we have a citywide luncheon with panel leadership, of which we're honoring our force, our police force there, with pastors, leaders, and some in the public to come. And then we have the potentials of her also visiting Drake University before she leaves Des Moines.
Well, we thank you for that help. If people want more information, how can they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. I think probably in this time schedule that we have, I do answer my phone religiously. I live on it practically in what I do. You can do one of two things. You can contact me through email at transformdsm, that's transformdsm@hotmail.com, or you can contact me on my cell at 515-555 or 554 5637 or 554-0075. Either one of those two numbers.
Okay. Al, I thank you for that. I thank you for the work that you're doing to make this event such an success and open, publicly accessible to anyone who wants to come, who is concerned and willing to be the change that we hope we see in our communities. So 7 p.m. at North High School, Martin Luther King Day, we will have his niece, Dr. Alvita King, sharing from her heart. She's doing a tour called Restoring the Dream, and we're telling you we can shape the future by restoring the dream. And then we'll have the Transformations Luncheon, 11:30 on the 20th, and we can get you more information on that. Concerned Women for America is the group bringing her in, Concerned Women for America of Iowa. You can go to their Facebook page, contact them there, or you can call 515-259-0087, I believe is the number, 515-259-0087, or email info@iowa.cwfa.org, info@Iowa, spelled out iowa.cwfa.org. Al Perez, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you even more for the work that you are doing, the vision you have had, and the determination to stick with the work to see it through.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm privileged.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned after these messages.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, You come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team,
I'll take a call anytime.
and then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
All right, I am Tamara Scott. You're listening to Tamara Scott Live. The show brings you truth for our time. My thought is, if God expects you to live through it, He's directed you how to do it somewhere in His Word. And we usually find most of the ails that we deal with, the ailments and the ills that we deal with, usually have a biblical root that has been abandoned. Most of those problems we deal with, whether financially, you'll hear the politicians talking. I was at an event recently, and the reporter was asking about Bobby Jindal, Governor Bobby Jindal. Well, we're only now hearing about his faith, as if it were not real. Bobby Jindal's always had his faith. He tells you his testimony. He shared his testimony 3 different times in Des Moines. Mm-hmm. Maybe no one's ever cared about it until he's starting to be noticed. But as I said to her, his credibility, like others, has been probably established in other things. So he's not been pigeonholed by his faith. Because unfortunately in our world today, when you hear a politician has a faith, we pigeonhole them or try and limit them. But if they've done something great economically or fiscally or in another area, we lift them up. So how fortunate that we've been given a chance to see the good he can do before some would decide to pigeonhole him. Mm-hmm. So today, my guest joining me in studio is Kiboko. K-I-B-O-K-O. K-I-B-O-K-O. Kiboko. I have to ask you, is that your given name? Both names are the same. Is that the common practice in your country?
No, it was given to me by the immigration services.
Oh.
When we moved to this country. My name was Innocent. I was named after the Pope Innocent, and they made a mistake. They repeated my last name twice. And they say, well, you know what? Sorry, you just have to deal with it. And so I kept this name for many, many years. And when I tried to change it, they made another mistake. They gave me my father's name. And so my wife read my new name in the passport. She said, no, I did not marry my father-in-law. You have to change that name. And so I went to the process. They said, well, you need your wife's approval to change the name. I'm like, my goodness, when you change my name, you did not ask for my wife's approval. And so I had to go through all this. She gave me the approval, and, and then she chose to keep the Kiboko. She said, well, many people in Iowa, they know you by Kiboko, not by Innocent Kiboko, but And so I decided to keep Kiboko. It's not a common practice in the Congo. Yeah.
Okay, I was not sure. I've met a man from Nigeria, and I've been trying to think what his name was. It's very similar type situation. And he's not immigrated to the United States. He's still in his country, but comes to visit. And so I was trying to figure out if there was a commonality in the practice there. What country are you coming from? So our listeners.
The Democratic Republic of the Congo, which is right in Central Africa.
Okay, and what borders that country?
It borders with Angola, Zambia, Rwanda, Burundi, Central Republic of the African Central Republic. I think that's about it. Really.
So we heard Rwanda. We know that there's been chaos, violence, turbulence in Rwanda.
Any country in Central Africa going through trouble, it has bad ramification in the Congo. You cannot isolate any trouble in Rwanda with the Congo because they're the same people fighting. They can transfer their fight in Rwanda or in the Congo and vice versa. And it's been going on for years, ever since Europeans got in Germany in 1885 when they divided Africa.
I'm taking notes, Grace. Grace, your daughter is here. And being a student who's out because of this blustery cold day, we're pre-taping, and it's 24 below outside with the wind chill. So Grace gets to be with us in studio.
Exactly.
But see, I'm still a student, Grace. At my age, I'm taking probably better notes now than I did in school. It never failed. When the teacher would say, in 0.7, I would go, but what was 0.5? I apparently had taken a break somewhere in between there and missed a point. It never failed. So I'm taking notes. So you're saying in the Congo and in this area of Africa, they're all fighting the same. Who are they? Who's the same?
We are talking about the eastern part of the Congo. And we are sharing the border with the Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda. And any trouble going on either in Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, they always take the trouble into the Congo. Why? Because they're basically the same ethnic group, almost. In 1885, Europeans got together in Germany and decided to divide Africa. And this is a continent that people are led by tribal chiefs. And they bringing to them a new concept of country, which does not make any sense. Because these people are used to be led by the chief from within their own tribe. And now, all of a sudden, arbitrarily, they divided the country. And so one tribe or one family found themselves overnight in two different countries. You cannot go there. They found themselves, their land taken away.
So you could no longer see your relative.
No. And the land is taken away,
So for our people listening, understand, maybe you own a large family farm.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a house, and you've given a small portion of land to one of your kids to have a house.
Exactly.
On the same farm.
Mm-hmm.
The government just came through, or not even the government. Who was it that came through?
Europeans. They divided. Who is going to take this part of the land? Okay, I take that. And so the Kingdom of Belgium took that land called Congo with a K, Kongo, Congo. And from 1908 through 1960, that when the Congo became independent with less than 10 people with college education.
Seriously, less than 10 people in the country had a college education?
Yeah, less than 10 people with college education. And so they got in power primarily because they were trying to protect American interest. or European interest. And so, as a result, all these people who had been used to be led by their chief from their tribe, they said, well, you guys have a president now. What? A president? Are you telling me that somebody from another tribe is going to tell me what to do? Oh, no, it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly. And so we had the first president who was there briefly, and then there was a coup d'etat in 1964. And that president was in power for that from 1965 all the way to 1997, when he got forced to get out by Kabila, who was a rebel leader who came in power in 1997. He self-proclaimed president.
Oh, wow. Good luck with that.
And then in 2001, he got killed.
I was just going to say that can happen when you take things that aren't
And
yours,
then they
right?
forced his son, his adopted son, to be president. He was only 29 years old.
So someone just said, I'm now president, bam. And this is my thing with America. This is why we have to have I think, an allegiance to God. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't have a moral compass, then anything goes. Mm-hmm. Whoever has the most power, the most money, the biggest army, they control.
Exactly.
And is that what took place when this man stepped in and said, I will now be president?
Well, the one who was there from 1965 through 1997, he was sponsored by Europeans and the USA, a dictator worse than Saddam Hussein. Really? And so people hated him, but nobody had the guts to say what they were saying in their living room. And this guy who self-proclaimed came and spoke publicly against the president, and he walked into the Congo, and he used an army from Rwanda and Uganda to come and take care of this Mobutu, M-O-B-U-T-U, Mobutu, who had been there for over 30 years as president. In fact, he was on a CIA payroll, and so for all that time. And so when the Congolese saw that this guy who was coming, and later on he self-proclaimed president, looked at him as their liberator. They did not even contest when he self-proclaimed president. They embraced him until he was killed in 2001, in January, the 17th of January 2001.
This is the second guy who walked into took over the president and declared himself president.
Yes, he got killed, and then his son took power.
And so his name was?
Kabila.
And his son?
Kabila, Kabila. And his son was also Kabila. His son's first name is Joseph Kabila. And he's in power. He's been there since 2001. And then in 2006, they organized the election, and he got elected. And then in 2011, he got reelected. And the Constitution only gives permission to 2 terms. And he's trying to change the Constitution so he can be eligible to run.
So you had a term limit similar to our chief commander-in-chief.
Yes.
2 terms. Mm-hmm. And so his second term is up
in 2016.
2006, similar to ours.
Mm-hmm.
Second term ends. And he's now trying to keep himself on another term.
Exactly.
Which we have people in America who are muttering that might be the plan of someone here as well. I won't go into that.
No, we don't even want to name
we
that.
We won't go into that. So why do you bring this up? What is happening now?
I am bringing this up because when we talk about international policy, when we talk about terrorism, the Congo is a country that we need to look at. During World War II, the USA bombed Japan. The uranium used to do that came from the Congo. And that place is open to Chinese and Koreans. Who do you think these Koreans might hurt? Us here in the USA. They can have access to that uranium. And so when we're talking about the land, there is a tribe called Sangha tribe in the Congo.
Sangha. Spell.
Sangha. S-A-N-G-A. Sangha.
That's helpful for people who are listening.
Yes, S-A-N-G-A. Sangha tribe, meaning to bring people together. The people who bring others together, to celebrate life together, to worship God together. They don't even name God. They said the untouchable, the one that we cannot name. The one, once you name his name, you have to go down on your knees to worship him.
Oh, I wish we had that reverence here in America.
And so they really use that reverence. And these people have been oppressed for years. For years. They don't have right on their lands. Other people come from other places and take their lands away from them. And December 8th, these Sangha tribe people were demonstrating peacefully.
December 8th, 2014.
Yes.
Just last month.
Yes, they were demonstrating against the injustice done to their people. And guess what? The government sent some police to stop them. They even killed a lady by the name of Mpanga. M-P-A-N-G-A. M-P-A-N-G-A. Mule. M-U-L-E. And they killed her. She was only 38 years old. And so my brother, his name is Vano, V-A-N-O, Kiboko, K-I-B-O-K-O. This is an evangelist.
Your brother
This is a church planter. He comes at least 2-3 times to the USA. If you are following me and you want him when he's here to come and preach to your church, if you are serious about revival, this is the man to call. And he will be more than happy to do that. And so in 2006, he wanted to side with the oppressed and protect them. He ran to become a congressman, and he got elected to be a congressman. And from 2006 through 2011. And as a congressman, he fought for the right of these people. And so on the 27th of December of this past year, he held a press conference. And during that press conference, he asked the government to hold the people who killed that lady accountable. He also asked if the president could not change the Constitution to make him eligible to run for the third time. And on the 28th, on his way to the USA to come and visit us, his children and other brothers in the country and my sister in Ohio, he got stopped at the airport. They said, no, you cannot leave the country. And they arrested him for doing what he did, protecting an innocent lady killed who left behind 8 children. Arrested because he openly said the president cannot run for the third time. openly said that the president cannot change the Constitution. And he's now suffering. They transfer him now to a maximum security. And he has not been charged with anything, right, Grace? No. He's there. He has not seen a judge.
Do you think he's being tortured? Do you think he's okay?
From the 29th through up until now, he's there just waiting and waiting and waiting.
Okay. This is your brother.
This is my brother.
His name is Kiboko. Your name was changed to Kiboko when you came here, but that must be a family name.
The last name, yes.
And so that's why he has the same name, Vano, V-A-N-O, Kiboko. And you're telling me, Kiboko, he hasn't done anything wrong to your knowledge as that they would have justified reason to come after him.
That's correct.
He hasn't been violent. He hasn't instigated violence. He hasn't cheated on his taxes like people get accused of here in America.
This is a man of God, very, very generous, who has been planting churches not only within the Methodist Church, full gospel, you name it. Every time they need something, he will be there financially to help, build churches.
Okay. And then to clarify too, sometimes in America, when we have these types of clashes, someone is accidentally killed. But you're saying it was not it was...
No, I think they wanted to kill somebody.
They
did that on purpose. Yeah.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Because we've got the whole law enforcement issue right now where we don't want to come after police officers who are trying to do their very best in a split-second decision. But that's not what this is.
No, this is not what it is. They just went and killed. They went there with intimidation. The arrest of my brother, that intimidation.
And so let's go back to that. They didn't arrest him at the press conference.
No.
But they were probably just learning what he had to say. And he's seeing the ramifications of how that might stir public opinion against the president. Mm-hmm. So you're saying, while this president had the power, you think it was this president, or who do you think it was that arrested your brother?
Well, somebody within, if not the president himself, somebody very, very close to the president.
Okay. And have you had any contact? Have you tried to write to the president to ask for his release?
How can I even get hold of him?
Yeah.
He's one of the untouchable. But through people, they have, asked him to release him, but he has not done anything.
Okay. So he's in a maximum security. Have you had contact with him?
No.
His family?
Well, his family, yes, they go and visit him.
He has wife and children?
Well, he has he was a widower for 10 years. He just remarried last November.
Oh.
In Brussels. Grace and I had the opportunity to go there.
Oh, you did, for the wedding?
Yes, we went there and we had fun, and they went in Israel for 5 days for their honeymoon, and they're still in that stage that when he got arrested and humiliated, and so it was just painful.
How old is he, can I ask?
He was born in 58.
Born in 58.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it makes him about 54. Now he is in a maximum security prison. They arrested him as he was leaving to come visit Ohio.
Yes. And us too. Always when he comes, he just visit all his brothers and.
Was he on a no-fly list? What? How did they find him? Had they just waited till he was leaving the country?
Well, they knew the newspaper said the people close to the president, they knew that he was on his way to America. They knew that. And so they went to wait for him right by Air France, airplane there. And they just confiscated his passport.
That is so frightening. Mm-hmm. Absolutely so frightening.
Yeah.
why we protect our First Amendment, our Fourth Amendment, those Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights that we have here in America. We were talking one of our earlier segments, Kiboko. I don't think most people, younger than me probably, realize the price that was paid by our ancestors here in America to give us the freedoms that we have. Because our rights come from God.
Exactly.
The Declaration says that our rights are endowed by our Creator.
Exactly.
But the people in China who should have the same rights we do don't get to have those rights because their government doesn't protect them. If rights come from you're endowed by your Creator and your rights come from your Creator, you have your rights. But they can't express their rights in China and other countries like we're talking about, North Korea. They don't have the right that we have, even though God gave it to them. God's a God of liberty. 2 Corinthians 3:17 says,
true.
where the
That's
Lord
very
of the
true.
Lord is, there is
That's
liberty.
very true. That's very true.
But we now have governments who are not protecting those rights. This is why government was formed. God ordained government to glorify Him, to exalt Him.
Exactly.
And so this is why in America, we and on this radio show, we continually, and even within political parties, will hold to a principle, not a party platitude, but a principle of the Bible. Because as we said, if you don't hold a measure, then the guy with the biggest weapons, the largest money, the greatest power takes over.
You're right.
After the Magna Carta, and especially after the Declaration and the Constitution, we didn't put kings or dictators or emperors above the people or above the law. Everyone was subject to the law.
Exactly.
That's so important.
Exactly.
And now we're seeing firsthand through your eyes what happens when one man gets ahead of Scripture. Because it sounds like to me, and I don't know the situation other than what you're telling me, it sounds like to me there's a lot of selfish, power-hungry politicians
That's very true.
wanting another term that does not due them. They knew that when they came into power. Now trying to change it. How arrogant is it to say that no one can run this country but me? That God can't raise up another leader.
Exactly.
So see, the issues always come back to a biblical root that has been abandoned if there's a problem, not held up.
Yeah.
Proverbs, when the nation, when righteous rule, the nation rejoices. When the wicked rule, the people groan.
Exactly.
So I don't know your president. I don't know if he claims to be a Christian or a godly man. I don't know.
Well, through what he's done, I don't see any fruit of somebody who really in whom the Holy Spirit dwell. I see somebody who is hungry, power hungry, somebody who wants to destroy other people's lives, somebody who is just greedy. And what can we do? Of course, many people have been praying for this situation. I think we can do even more to hold him accountable. It was under Bill Clinton's watch that there was a genocide in Rwanda. And they killed hundreds of people there.
Now, I'm going to ask you, I'm not trying to protect any one person, but Bill Clinton was a president of the U.S., so how do we hold him accountable for what happened in another country?
Because he had the power to stop the killing,
And you
but
think
he enabled that.
And so you think he should have?
He himself asked for forgiveness.
Oh, he did. Okay.
He did. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I watched it on TV. There was a long, program, where he was just talking. He did that. They ran that program from Rwanda. He's acknowledged that he had the power to stop that, but he did not.
And this brings up another interesting perspective. We have the the Tea Party, the libertarians, who don't think that the U.S. should be involved in anything else happening in another country. But you're giving us a very good example.
Well, I'm telling you that a lack of justice in another country is a threat for justice everywhere around the world. Martin Luther King Jr. said that, and it's very, very, very true. And well, it's true that there is no country that has power to go and intervene in other countries. But if we are claiming the Bible as our guide, God is asking us to take care of our neighbor. And who is our neighbor? It's not only the person living across the street from you. My neighbor can be in China.
Right.
And God is holding me accountable. We have to protect the people who do not have means to defend themselves. And if we have the power to pick up the phone, John Kerry can pick up the phone, the President Obama can pick up the phone and call the President of the Congo and say, well, you know what, enough is enough. Set that person free, let him go. They can do that.
I think we've interviewed on the show Peter Waldron, who was held prisoner, not sure which country that was in, and a phone call from George W. Bush got him out of prison. They beat him one more time before they released him, meaning they said, we don't like to be told what to do, but your president has called, and you are going to be free. So you're right, a phone call.
Yeah,
call.
Just a simple phone call can make a big, big difference.
So what would you like our listeners to do?
Our listeners should pray for, I know you are Christians. You are listening, and you are a born-again Christian. And this is a born-again Christian in the Congo. He's a Congolese citizen. He's a church planter. He's somebody who is defending the oppressed people. He's somebody who does not stand injustice. And he stood up for biblical values, and he got arrested for that. And this is what I refer to as persecution. And as Christians, we have to pray for those who are persecuted. And if we have the means, I know maybe one of you might know ways to get to either President of John Kerry or even the Speaker of the House, or the majority in the. Excuse me. Any senators can do something for us. When you do this, you are going to save many, many people. Let me just put everything in perspective. I spoke about the genocide that happened in Rwanda. 800,000 people were killed. From 1996 up today, there have been over 12 million people killed in the eastern part of the Congo. These are your brothers and sisters. These are the brothers for whom Jesus died. Pray for them and get involved. If you need to contact me, my name is Kiboko, and you can call. My phone number is 641-691-6672. And my daughter here, Grace, she's really hurt because she knows very well her uncle, and she knows what her uncle has done to the people for the people of the Congo, and she knows what the president of the Congo is doing this to him. And 3 days ago, my brother from Texas had a chance to talk to him in prison, and this is what he said. So what the prisoners here are saying that in this maximum prison, they are all kind of prisoners. They are thieves, they are murderers, and they are political prisoners. But you, Mr. Vanno, you are not a political prisoner. You are a private prisoner. And he said, what does it mean? And said, the president put you here. Somebody, just one person put you here, which is very, very difficult. No wonder why no judges has shown up to sit with him and decide whether he was innocent or not.
So you're saying he's not a political prisoner of the political climate.
Exactly.
He's a personal prisoner
Exactly.
of that president. That's what
Yes,
you're alleging.
exactly. Yes. That's my reading.
All right. Kiboko has been my guest. Kiboko comes from right here in the central Iowa area. We love having him in this area. You can sense his heart. We so appreciate the spirit that he brings into events that we have. And Kiboko, I don't know if you have it on your schedule or not, but I hope you can attend Monday night, 7 p.m. with Dr. Alveda King, niece of Martin Luther King. She will be speaking right here at North High School. And so we so much want you to be part of that event, and I hope that you can come.
I'll be there.
Very good.
I'll be there.
Grace, I think the world of your dad, and I love what he can bring to a meeting. Some people, just by coming to a meeting, there's a scripture that says they'll know you by your love. We sense that in your dad.
Thank you. Do you sometimes pray for people here?
Oh, on the air? Mm-hmm. Would you like to?
Oh, sure.
Please
do.
do.
Sure. Dear friend, I really don't know what you are facing. Maybe you're going through depression. Maybe you feel like you are in a very deep pit and you don't know which way to go. I'm going to say a prayer for you. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, thank you because you have the ministry of intercession. As we are praying for those who are listening to us, I pray that your healing touch be with each one of them. For those who have lost their loved ones today, I want you to throw your arms around them. For those who are struggling with financial difficulties, God, please meet them where they are. For those who are just depressed and they don't know what to do, Lord, remind them that they are not alone. Remind them that Jesus, you are interceding for them. Remind them that they are more than conquerors. We love you, Jesus, and we lift your name on high. We pray for this country. We pray for revival, oh Jesus Christ. You say that if you call upon my name, I will answer you. Lord, thank you for answering our prayers. Thank you for listening to us. And thank you for just throwing your arms of those who are listening. Make them become closer to you. Make them become the people you created them to be. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Kiboko, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Grace, thank you for coming along. I am Tamara Scott. You've been listening to Tamara Scott Live with Truth for Our Time. Archives are available on Tamara Scott Live on YouTube. Send this to your friends. By all means, take time out to pray for Vano, V-A-N-O, Kiboko, for justice,
Yes.
for safety and protection.
Yes. Yes.
And then protect the liberties you have in this nation,
Amen.
that these types of situations are not allowed to happen.
Exactly.
Because we've forgotten just what blood was shed to give us the freedoms we so enjoy. Be encouraged and never be complacent.